All right, late night. Welcome to another broadcast. We'll be with you in a little bit, but just want to take some time and say welcome. This is late for many of you, but we're here. And you can watch this at any time. That's the great thing about the internet. All right, tonight we're going to be talking about just a few things tonight. I wasn't really going to go live, but I figured I said, why not? We're going to talk about this war situation. Is this something we should be worried and concerned about, or, is it just another passing thing? We're going to get into this conversation I saw with Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz. We'll play a clip of that so you can, and this is Zionism just in your face. We're going to look at that. And we're going to look at this MIT study that's talking about, cognitive function and the usage of ChatGPT and all of that. So I thought it was interesting. So we'll get into that as well. Give it about a minute or so, and we'll go ahead and get things started, okay? All right, welcome again to another broadcast. So glad that you guys can join us. I know this is a late, if you're watching this live, this is a lot later than I normally go live. But, I just figured why not? Because I said, if, people want to catch it, they can catch it, the after recording, the recorded version of it. It'll be here. I mean, unless YouTube decides to censor some things or take some things out or whatever, but it'll be here. But I just figured, hey, why not? I'll just get on here today. So anyway, I hope you guys having a great day. Today's the high temperature that we reached out here in sunny Arizona, I believe we got up to like 115. So yeah, it was pretty warm. And can you imagine you out there? At the time I went out there, it was well over 100. It was 115, and I'm just saying that's about as high I saw it get. Can you imagine over 100-degree weather? You pulling weeds? That's what I was doing. And yeah, believe it or not, we do have weeds out here, and it's not too bad, but it's enough to where. The HOA, they're gonna, come around and tell somebody that, your house looked like the monster's house, and it's like two weeds out there. So I just said, let me go ahead and get out here and just get this done and over with. So yeah, but nonetheless, it was scorching, and I still love it. It's just, you got to change things up. I mean, when it's in the cooler months, it's beautiful. When we get into these hotter months, you just got to, have that mindset where everything you want to get done, do it early in the morning or do it late in the evening, but other than that, during the day, you better be hemmed up somewhere and looking outside the window. It ain't no joke out there. I'm telling you right now. But anyway, I hope you guys having a great day and a great week. And as you know, tomorrow is Juneteenth. And so, fortunately, a lot of people have the day off and others do not. But either way, I hope you do take the time and learn a thing or two about Black American history. Go to the sources. Y'all. Don't go into this imaginative stuff, where, because there's a lot of people, and I'm going to play a video for you. For fact, I probably should just play it for you now. I think that would be I was actually going to play it later on, but this is the kind of stuff I'm saying that you need to avoid. Let me get this video out. I wasn't even planning on playing this one, but playing it now, but might as well. Let me get out of what I had playing here. Hold on for a second. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff out here that you really going to have to make sure you check, and double check. And not just run with stuff simple because it sounds good or it's convenient or it fits your personal, biases. Hopefully she's not playing any music here, but let me play this for you here. This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. You need to make sure you check, and double check. Okay, so let me get this up here. Oh, daggone it. I got a lot of these old windows up here. Hold on. Where am I? Oh, that's part of the reason right there. Hold on. Move it over. All right. And let's see. All right. Like I said, hopefully she doesn't have any music playing here, but let's go ahead and play this. All right, let's take a listen to what she's saying here. Okay, hold on. And you see, did you know that Mexicans owned enslaved Africans for 300 years? Let's take a look.
And Mexican people, y'all can bring y'all ass here. You ain't slick. It's your turn. Did y'all know that Mexicans owned enslaved Africans for some 300 years? And in fact, it helped build up over 65% of what we know Mexico to be today. It helped build up their entire economy. Before I get into it, y'all, this is my only TikTok. It is at Kim Possible. I also have an Instagram and a YouTube that's in my bio. Please give me a follow. But without further ado, let's get into it real quick. From the early 1520s to the very end of the Mexican War of Independence in 1810, Mexico imported some 255,000 Africans just to solely rebuild their economy and also their population. Now, before this was even called Mexico, this was the land of the Aztecs. We all know the Mayans and the Aztecs. The Incas was, I believe, South America, but Mexico was Mayans and Aztecs. That was that land. Their population declined tremendously once the white people in Spain came over with smallpox. It went from 27 million people to just 1 million people in under 10 years. So Spain, being the colonizers that they are, thought it'd be best to bring Africans to replace this population and to rebuild this economy and rebuild this country. So I'm going to go into deeper detail into this in my YouTube and my Instagram. It's probably going to be a 2-part series because I want to go into deeper detail of the facts and things like that, statistics. But in the meantime, give me a follow up.
Okay, follow, share. Okay, that's typically but Grok fortunately has this feature where you can actually ask it, whole AI thing now. Where you can, when someone makes a statement, I've told y'all this is going to be a killer for a lot of preachers out here who just get out here and say a lot of things. Now people can, in real time, they can check and see what you're saying, the claims that you're making, are they true or not? And here we go. So someone actually used Grok here, and we've done on this platform, even before Grok and all this other stuff, we were very interested in, we were going through a phase on this platform, just really tracking down our, who we call today Black people are, and, and the different cultures that we're connected to, and this whole African diaspora thing and all of that. And, there were things that she said that was, I off the rip, I knew she was correct, but there were other things that was like, let's dig into it. So Grok is like think of ChatGPT, okay? But anyway, this is what Grok had to say. Just in real time, analyze what she said. She said, so you're asking me to fact check the claim about Mexicans owning enslaved Africans for over 300 years, huh? Well, let's dive into it. First off, the claim is a bit overstated. While it's true that slavery existed in what is now Mexico for a significant period, it is not accurate to say it lasted for 300 plus years under Mexican ownership. Yeah, that was number one. That was the thing I picked up on. The Spanish introduced African slavery to the region in the early 16th century, around 1519, and it continued until Mexico abolished slavery in 1829. That's about 310 years. But during most of that time, the area was under Spanish colonial rule, not independent Mexican control. Mexico didn't even exist as a nation until 1821. So the Mexican ownership is part is misleading. Then gets into it even deeper. Now, about the numbers, it's estimated about 200,000 to 250,000 Africans were brought into Mexico as slaves during the colonial period. They played a crucial role in the economy, especially in agriculture, mining, and domestic service. But saying it rebuilt the economy is a bit of an exaggeration. The economy was already being developed by the Spanish indigenous labor before African slaves arrived, and it continued to evolve with a mix of free and enslaved labor. Let me stop there for a second. This is absolutely true, and again, it's not, you don't have to just go by this. Pick up a freaking book and read it yourself, and it will tell you all the history of it. Spain was already Mexico was already on a come up. They already had an economy there. This falls in line to this whole narrative that, when we hear folks say this, and I know it strokes some of y'all the right way, but when you say that, black people built everything, a lot of times people like to even apply no matter what country you go to, and that's it. But it's funny, but say black folks don't want to have nothing to do with the other black people. But anyway, yeah, so this, so that's what that kind of plays into, but you got to be accurate here. Now, what's also true is that when someone, I forgot, it was a while back, they actually did like a study, and they found that a significant percentage of people that we call Mexicans today actually have DNA from Africa, particularly like Congo, the central part of Africa, West Africa. And that's due to the fact that you had a significant amount of, as she pointed out, slaves, Africans that were brought over as slaves into Mexico. If you go to the the east coast of Mexico, the eastern side, I should say, out there, it's there's a slave. They have a slave castle. A lot of times people talk about the slave castle in West Africa, but there's also a large one in Mexico. It's I believe it's on the East Coast. I was really wanting to go there, but it was a bit too far when we took our trip to Mexico City. It's a very large slave castle there, but a lot of Africans were brought through there. Even to this day, you do have enclaves of black Mexicans that live in, and that enclave is mainly on the west coast of Africa. You have little enclaves and little pockets here and there, but you'll find a lot of them on the west coast of Africa. So black African culture can still be seen in in Mexico, even though Mexico today don't want to really acknowledge it. But they officially did, like, very recently, because they had to, because it was enough people saying, wait a minute, we black over here, So anyway, I just wanted to give that extra. Anyway, it continues. It says, also the idea that Mexico imported 255,000 Africans just solely to rebuild the economy and also their population is not entirely accurate. The population decline was due to diseases brought by Europeans, which she brought out, not just the need for labor. And while slave labor, it was important, it wasn't the sole factor in economic growth. So while there's a kernel of truth here, the claim is inflated and misrepresents the historical context. It's more accurate to say that African slavery was a significant part of Mexico's colonial history, but it wasn't a 300-year period of Mexican ownership, and the economic impact, while notable, wasn't as singularly transformative as suggested. So anyway, a lot of great information there. Reason why I'm bringing this out is because, like I said, there's a lot of people out there, when it comes to what we call Black history, there's, as you know, and we've dealt with this on this platform for a lot. People just literally say anything that makes you feel good, they'll just say it. And what we always encourage people to do, even the stuff that we present on this platform, I'm always encouraging people, go back and check it. Don't just take my word for it. Pick up a book and check it, verify it. You understand what I'm saying? And, and if I'm right, I'm right. If I'm wrong, then so be it. And I'm wrong, but it's not about me. It's about you doing what you need to do to make sure you getting the facts straight. And I will have to challenge people on what I'm about to say here is, again, I want to go back to what I said earlier, this whole thing that, black people, we built everything. Well, the next time you hear somebody say that, I want you to ask them this. Ask them, what is the last thing they built? Okay? Ask them that. Okay, you want to say that we black folks, we built everything? Okay, fine. And a lot of times that usually goes into a riff of them going back and pointing out different inventors and stuff, who we do have black folks who did invent things. But if you go through, like we did, if you go through a lot of those inventions where you see black people are getting credited for, a lot of those things, when you look at it, they didn't just come up with it. Most of the time, they didn't just invent it themselves. They're in a long line of other people who helped tinker or to make adjustments to something that came out to be the end result that we have today. So I'm not saying black folks didn't come up with anything. I'm just simply saying that to suggest that somehow like we invented the elevator or we invented the escalator or whatever, that is not accurate. See, we're about accuracy. We got to be about accuracy. You understand what I'm saying? And even I can get it wrong sometime. It's part of being human, but you also got to be an individual that say, you know what, I got it wrong. Let me make adjustments so I can get it right the next time. But when it comes to particularly black history, what we call black history, we have to make sure, if anything, we have to make sure we're getting that accurate and right. And you got to be willing to push away the things that, that are not correct. And there's a lot of people out here, unfortunately, that have platforms, have channels and stuff, and they say a lot of things. But when you dig in it just a little bit, you'll find that, a lot of stuff, it's not true. It's inaccurate, but it makes you feel good about yourself. That shouldn't be the goal. The goal should be truth. You understand what I'm saying? And so as we're getting into this, tomorrow, Juneteenth, make that a priority, if anything. Take some time and really dig in and challenge yourself on some of these things that have been put out here, because our history is very, very precious. It should be. And it should be something that we should be willing to guard, protect, but most importantly, making sure that we get it correct and accurate too. And, you'll find that our history is one that is full of a lot of beautiful things, full of a lot of wonderful things. And that's why it boggles my mind why people feel like they have to exaggerate on things. I say let the history stand as is. Yes, there's a lot of things that are unsavory that's happening in what we call the black community today, but it wasn't always like that. There's a lot of things that we should and need to highlight and build on those things. But we don't need to be up here telling our children we were all kings and queens. How can you have a kingdom where everybody in the kingdom is a king and a queen? Who are going to be the subjects? You understand what I'm saying? Kingdom of what? What kingdom? Well, I don't know. We just kings and queens. Kingdoms of what? What king of what? What? What was the name of your kingdom? Well, I don't know. We just were king and queen. See, it's that kind of language we got to start, tightening up on. You understand what I'm saying? And I understand the motives behind it, but we are in an age right now where people need accuracy and they need truth. And so we have to be the trailblazers, the pioneers when it comes to that kind of stuff. So anyway, so just keep that in mind, happy Juneteenth or whatever, and do something constructive tomorrow. Okay. For those that are in the States here. Anyway, I did see something, I shared with my, somebody, was it my children? Hold on. It was here. This is where it gets kind of crazy. I'm like, I don't even know how y'all even come up with this stuff here on the topic of Juneteenth. Here it is. Let me see. Where am I? Okay, here it is. This is from I guess a local magazine cover here, the faces of Juneteenth. I said, hold on, wait a minute here. Wait a minute. The faces of Juneteenth. I was like, what are we doing here? All these they look like East Africans and all that. And then I had more pages of it. And guess who wrote it? It was a Jewish man. A Jewish man wrote it. So surprise, surprise, a Jewish man wrote that and said, these are the faces of Juneteenth. Let me tell you something. That ain't it. That's not it. Okay. Juneteenth is a Black American holiday. Okay. It's just like people in Somalia, people in Ethiopia and all that. You have your special holidays and festivals and all of that. I think it's a wonderful thing. And I think you should have the space to celebrate it. However, Juneteenth is a Black American holiday, and it's something that we should acknowledge it as such. But to try to scoop everybody into it and try to say that these are the faces of Juneteenth, I don't see now one Black American in this picture. And then when you open it up into the article, they had like it looked like some Jewish man, and they had like the whole rainbow in there. I'm like, come on now, come on. Anyway, so this is the kind of stuff that's out here, and like I said, just be careful, y'all. People are something else. Anyway, let me see. I wanted to share this with you guys. If you didn't catch our video that we posted over on Sabbatree, make sure you check that out here. Here it is right here. Well, it's on the community page, but also go to the Sabbatree YouTube page here. This is our product line, brand new product line that we just started here on Sabbatree.com. Heal and upgrade your brain, introducing Sabbatree brain packs. I'm not going to go through all of it here, but our focus is to heal the brain and to restore it. And I go in the video, I talk all about that. I talk about our approach to this and what we're doing as far as that's concerned. It's not just some herbs that you eat and that's it. But no, it's very intentional. What we're centering is the physiology of people who have melanin in their skin. That's what we're focused on. And what we want to do is optimize that. Because you cannot be treated like everybody else, just like white people can't be treated like everybody else. The physiology of each one of our bodies is very unique and different, and we have to begin to treat it as such. The problem with Western culture is that it tries to treat everybody the same exact way, and you can't do that. It doesn't mean that one group is better than the other. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I am saying is just like you can't repair or maintain a Mustang like you would with a Lexus, you know what I mean? People and our differences, it's the same way. We got to look at it the same way. So that's the approach that we're taking with this, and we're taking a very natural approach. On top of that, later this week, we're going to be starting our classes, free classes. And as long as you're on our email list, you'll get an email, and we'll shout you out and let you know, hey, listen, we're going to start it in about a half an hour. At the end of each class is a test. We're going to be covering each part of the brain and how to optimize each part of the brain with various things, so we'll be getting into that as well. And while you're there, make sure you check out the rest of Sabbatree in the store and all that. We got a whole lot to offer. We just introduced hawthorn berry juice powder. You can check our soursop leaf powder. All kinds of different powders, bitters, all kinds of things. If you're someone dealing with trying to lower the impact of sugar and all of that, or blood pressure, you got some blood pressure issues, all of that, you can find some real solutions right here on Sabbatree.com. So make sure you check it out, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. The first thing I wanted to talk about very briefly is something I shared with our hotline group over on Threema. As you know, we got war going on right now, and as much as the United States want to act as if they're not doing anything, they're right in the middle of it. And there's been a lot of things that have been swirling around. So what I want to do at this time is really try to, these are things I've shared many, many times over, but I want to see if I can encapsulate it for you so you can have some perspective and also make it practical on the things that you should be doing now. Okay, so let me wipe this sweat off here. Yeah, that ain't no joke out there. We in the furnace out here. But anyway, okay, so number one, the thing I want you to understand is this, is that the United States, just like all these other world leaders, is they are centered on Judaism. At the end of the day, they are centered on Judaism. When you look at the Masonic order, the Masons, along with all these other Masonic base groups, the centerpiece of their belief system is Israel. This is why you have, if you want to know what religion someone is part of, look at what they will fight, what they would fight for and how hard they will fight for. If you want to understand what their belief system is, all you got to do is look at that. And that will give you a good indicator. When you look at the relationship between Canada and the United States, or the relationship between the United States and France or whatever, they can bicker like cats and dogs and stuff all day and all night. But when it comes to Israel, they all on one accord. They're like, you are not going to touch Israel. We are going to stand by Israel. We're going to stand by it no matter what. And so that tells you everything you need to know. A lot of people would be extremely surprised at the amount of influence that Israel has on our government. And this is Republican or Democrat. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And so when it comes to, who we're to fight next in these different wars and all this stuff, that's all Israel. 9/11, Israel. I mean, you name it, Israel is all baked into all of that. So this is a belief system. This is something they believe in. So they're going to fight for Mother Israel no matter what. Okay. All the policies when it comes to, and we've talked about this, when it comes to immigration and all of that, a lot of the leading immigration organizations, both here and in other countries, are led by people who are Jewish. We've said this many, many times. So if you want to know the religion of the matrix, this matrix system that we live in, the religion of, now I want you to hear what I'm saying. The religion of the matrix is rooted in Judaism. Let me say that again. The religion of the matrix system is rooted in Judaism. Period. End of discussion. It is. So how do I say this? Again, when you look at Catholicism, which Christianity is one and the same, people may say, well, hey, I'm not on Judaism and all that. I'm a Christian. Well, what's in your Bible? What's in the Old Testament? It's the Torah. Where did you think the Torah came from? You came up with that? No. You didn't come up with that. That came out of Judaism. Yeah, love thy neighbor as yourself, and don't kill and all this other stuff. That's Judaism. But if I was to tell you even more where that came from, that whole 10 Commandments, the influence of it, you got to go back even further than that. You got to go back to Egypt. You ever heard of the Book of the Dead? Oh, I'm messing with y'all tonight. I'm messing with you. Yeah, Book of the Dead, and look at all the commandments in there, and you will find just about every commandment, and that it predates the 10 Commandments. And you will find all of those commandments in there. So it's not a unique thing. All right. But anyway, I don't want to get too deep on that one. But it's Judaism. For now, we're going to say it's Judaism. All right. And so no matter what brand, you could talk to Christians, you could talk to Hebrew Israelites, you could talk to whomever and ask them, okay, you don't like Christians, you think Christians are off and all this stuff. Okay, fine. Christians, you think the Hebrew Israelites are missing it. Okay, fine. Okay, what is the common thread that brings them both together? It's the Bible. Well, what's the Bible? What belief system has heavily influenced the Bible? It's Judaism. All right. We're not ignoring, again, I'm not trying to get too deep. We're not ignoring the Roman influences and the Grecian influences. We've talked about that as well, but it's Judaism at the end of the day. And then when you turn your head and look at the Masonic order, what else do they have? They have their own Bible. They have their own Bible. And guess what they got in it? And when you go through a Masonic, we did a video a while back where I actually showed you images of, it was just some random, I think it was the one in Philadelphia. It was a Masonic lodge. I took you in there and they got all kind of artwork of Egyptian artwork and stuff in there. And then you keep looking, they got all kinds of Judaism, kind of symbology and all of that in there. So they took this stuff and they tied it together. We've done a series just on this, y'all, a whole series where we talk about how these two are blended. And again, I'm not for the sake of time. So the religion of the matrix system that we're in today is rooted in Judaism. That's the thing you need to understand and what you need to know. So when you listen to these different preachers and pastors and all of that, they can be barking like dogs all day and all night, but at the end of the day, they all play on the same team. Hebrew Israelites play on the same team as Christians, as the same team. They play on the same team as the Masons. They are all on the same team. I don't care what they say or what they want to try to tell you. They are all on the same team. So with that, I actually want to bring you, now I can bring up this video, this Tucker Carlson video. He did an interview with Senator Ted Cruz, and it was quite interesting because Ted Cruz is in this video, in this interview. It was about an almost 2-hour long interview where he is trying to explain to Tucker Carlson the mandate and why America is to support Israel. And let's take a look at this, okay? All right, let's see. Here we go. And let me go ahead and play this video. That should be on the screen. All right, let's see. There you go. All right, here we go. Take a listen. Oh, anyway. Anyway, he couldn't even tell what it is. Anyway, so yes, so Ted Cruz, just like a lot of these, I told you, different politicians, world leaders, you have it, celebrities, preachers, pastors, whatever, they all play on the same team. They believe that Israel is the centerpiece. Israel is ground zero, and you got to get behind Israel 110% or not, or you are the enemy. The United States has created a whole bevy of rules and laws and stuff like that. If you don't line up with Israel, we basically going to strip you down and all this and kick you off into the Red Sea. And Moses won't even be there to split it open so that you can come out of it. I mean, they go way overboard with this. But this is their belief system. And so, we've been hearing a lot of different things as far as, are we going to go to war? I've been hearing things they were saying like there's a possibility that, that a nuclear bomb can go off here and there or whatever. Listen, there's always that possibility. And I will say this, anytime you hear of like things like them saying, like, for example, I just read something. They said that the United States actually captured 3 Iranian spies that were here in this country to assassinate President Trump. And, when you hear stuff like that, automatically think Mossad. Mossad, which is their, the Israeli special intelligence, secret intelligence organization. It's kind of like our CIA, but Mossad, they have their tentacles literally everywhere. And so I heard that. I was like, okay, Mossad. But, so when it comes to when we hear all of this barking and stuff going on, I know it can be, for some people, it can be a lot. Because you don't know, oh my God, I don't know, it can happen, and you got a lot of these people out here. Remember, like I said, I'm probably be about as straight up with you as possible. Okay, I'll be straight up with you as possible. You have people, particularly when I'm talking in the religious world, this is just my observations. I see numbers of women, religious women that will get on their platforms and they will do everything they can to scare the hell in you, to make you fearful and make you believe that everything's about to pop just like this. They live for this moment. And we're going to open up their letter and we're going to read their mail for a second. The reason why people like that oftentimes like to thrive on and really amplify times like this is because they have instability in their own homes. A lot of these people, when you see that's all they talk about and that's what they get revved up about, it's because they have instability in their own homes. They always just, when you don't have stability in your home, what it comes out. And so all you can do is latch on to things that look unstable, and then you just magnify it. And what that does, it attracts other people who also got instability in their homes. And now you got a whole thing. You understand what I'm saying? So no, don't, when you hear people out here that's always on that, just turn them off. I mean, don't. Okay. But there are some real things that we do need to pay attention to. All right. So number one, what I will say is this, is that what we are seeing now, it looks to me, just my opinion, and not just my opinion, it's actually historical. It looks a lot like the buildup to 9/11. In other words, here you have a country before 9/11 actually took place. The United States, the people of the United States, they were dead set. They ain't had nothing to do with war. And had nothing to do with war. We were tired of war. And so the United States was like, okay, we're done with this and that, and that's it. Nobody wasn't feeling it. And so something had to be done to kind of get people re-energized and refocused and really wanting to go to war. And so what was that? 9/11. Once 9/11 happened, it was like it just opened the floodgates of all kinds of things that happened, different policies that came into place as far as our privacy is concerned. United States was waging an endless war in Iraq, and it started in Afghanistan. Then it turned, we're going after him. He's in a bunker somewhere and he coordinating all this stuff. Never mind that Osama bin Laden was actually on the CIA payroll at one point, but now he's in a bunker somewhere. We don't know where he is. And all he has is a little walkie-talkie, and he's up here telling these people all over the world, okay, now here's some secret things I'm going to tell you on how you can infiltrate these planes and get past their security and all this stuff. How is he going to know all of that? And he's in a bunker somewhere in the mountains. And they did all this stuff where they almost had him, but I just saw the hem of his garment and we just almost had him and we missed him. All this stuff. I mean, anyway, so they did this whole cat and mouse thing with him and all of that. And then on top of that, then all of a sudden now, since we're here, we might as well go to Iraq. Then and next thing you know, we're in Iraq. And then that turned into something else. And all of this in the background, who's in the background? Israel. Israel was just the whole time, click, 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 click. They just directing the whole thing, because all of this movement that's happening in the Middle East, this is all part of their greater Israel plan. They want all that area. There's a whole area. If you look up Greater Israel, they already got mapped out, and all these different countries are part of it, including Iran. So this is going to continue until Iran is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, is probably one of the last bricks to fall. I think one of the last. Could be the last one. I'm not sure. But anyway, yes. So this is something that's going to continue to happen. And yes, there is a possibility that, we might see a false flag event. That is very possible. All right. But you are not to live in fear. My advice, the advice I share with people on Threema was this, is that if I were you, I would avoid going to large events. And when I say large events, I'm not talking about if you're a church goer. I'm not telling you don't go to church. I'm not saying, that's not what I'm talking about, like not going to something like that. Okay. That's kind of small. But I'm talking about where it's like a huge thing. Like think of like a 4th of July kind of situation where it's like thousands and thousands of people there. I would avoid doing that. I would avoid doing that. Just simply because it's just a target. If it's a significant convention, again, thousands and thousands of people expected to be there, I would probably avoid that too. These are just my own personal opinions. You do what you want. What else did I say on there? As far as like events are concerned, I would definitely avoid that. I would also avoid, if you do not live in a large city. If you do not live in a large city, I would avoid going to, like visiting large cities. Unless, of course, you're someone that works there, just have a plan. All right. Have your head on a swivel. All right. When it comes to if you have to go there. Just be very alert. Okay. In the days that we're in right now, because these people that we're dealing with right now, these are zealots and they don't care. They've already demonstrated that they don't care if they take you out or if they take their own people out or they get taken out themselves. They don't care. People don't understand this. It took people years to kind of understand that, yes, the United States government would in fact attack their own people. And out of all people in the world, black people should know that. Okay. But so you should still keep your head on a swivel when it comes to this. So going into cities, think about it. Like, for example, okay, I'm from New Jersey, Philadelphia, New Jersey area. New Jersey is a very interesting position geographically because where I lived in South Jersey, for example, if we wanted to, let's say, leave the state and we felt like we got to get out of here, well, we couldn't go west because you got the Atlantic Ocean. And we try to go east, most of the South Jersey area, well, you got the Delaware River. So we're dependent on those bridges. Just imagine if I'm trying to get to Pennsylvania. Now, there's other ways I can get to Pennsylvania. I would just have to go north. But, just imagine the traffic. So just imagine those bridges are closed and you can't get anywhere. If you live in that part of New Jersey, I'm sorry, you ain't going nowhere. So I'm not necessarily telling people to move out of there. We did, but I'm not necessarily telling people to do that. But you need to be proactive and think some of these things out. Okay. Just think it out. If something were to break out tomorrow, how would I get out of here? Where would I go? Looking through my house now, am I prepared if I had to kind of make a quick dip somewhere? You understand? Get out of your mind that the government is going to come and rescue you. All of this mouth that a lot of black folks have, you will be surprised at the amount of the same people are still reliant on the government coming, sending helicopters down and rescuing your behind. You can't think that way. They have been talking for a very long time about the power grid going down. Now, I was just talking to someone today on the East Coast. They said it was a pretty warm day. It was like in the 90s. And just imagine if your power goes out. Now what? It's hot. How are you going to stay cool? You have enough ice in your freezer? Do you have a deep freezer? What are some of the things you're going to try to keep cool? All right. Generators. I actually did something, and it's up, to each his own. I actually had 2 gas generators. I sold them, and I've got solar generators. I'm gonna actually get some more, and these, these are, I say they're like medium size, but I need to get some more, along with solar panels. The reason why I did that is because with gas generators, they are noisy. And so if you're in an environment and you run in that gas generator and people hear it from a distance, I'm sorry, people are crazy. They will come and take your stuff. Whereas a solar, something that's solar based, it's no noise. It's just your solar panels and all of that. And the solar panels I have, they're portable. Right? I can move them. They're not mounted on my house. They're portable. And it's enough to, it's not enough to power up the whole house. You really don't need all of that. It's enough to cover some lamps and power my phones and other small electronics and, keep things going. And, maybe a few other things. So this is, you have to, Miss Sada, man, you go way back. Oh my God. You go way back. She asked, do you still have the go bag list? Somewhere we do. I might post it. I should probably repost it. Maybe I will. Yeah, maybe I will. Maybe I'll do it if I can remember. Thank you for bringing it up. I'm not laughing at you. I'm just like, wow, I remember we put that together. But yeah, putting together a list, making sure you have something put together. So in the event of something going down, you are prepared. You understand what I'm saying? How are you guys going to communicate? If your power's out, if your cell phone goes out. I was telling Nicole, she said back in Periscope days. Yeah, that's how Team Truth said that. Your cell phone goes out. Oh, I was telling Nicole, I said, hon, I think if cell phones went out, you're going to see a lot of people going crazy just over that. I can't get on TikTok. I'm telling you, some folks will lose their minds because they can't post on TikTok. I'm telling you right now, they can't. I'm on my phone. I can't get to my mama. I can't get my mama. They can't get. I'm telling you right now, some people are gonna lose it over that. Cell phones. Your cell phone go out. How are you gonna communicate with your loved ones? How are you gonna do that? Do you have a plan for that? These are things that you need to be thinking about and thinking through now. You know what I'm saying? Especially, like I said, with it being hotter now, we in Arizona, we at the top of the mountain on that one when it comes to heat. Imagine being in 115 degree weather and you ain't got no AC. How you going to stay cool? I'm still trying to answer that myself. You understand? So these are things I want you to really be thinking about now, making sure you have some water stowed away. That's a very important thing as well, because everybody and their mama and their uncle and their auntie, they all going to go where? To the nearest grocery store for what? For water. You're going to go there, and what's going to happen? You're going to be standing in a long line, getting mad, getting angry and all of that. And then finally, when it's your turn to come up, guess what? There's no water. And guess what you're going to say? See, they had all the water for the white people, but we ain't got no water and all that stuff. This is your time right now to get all of that in order now. This is not to scare you. You need to always be thinking like this, because this is the crazy times that we live in. You understand? This is the crazy times that we live in, and you need to be prepared accordingly. Okay? So think these things through. I'm not going to sit up here and tell you that the Lord done show me there's going to be a bomb that's going to go off. There is a bomb in Gilead. Yes, that's right. I said there's a bomb in Gilead, and it's going to come down and it's heading our way. I ain't giving you all of that. I'm just telling you, listen, just be prepared. There's decisions, stuff, things, and adjustments that my family made, when we start really thinking about this, I was like, whoa, wait a minute now. This, we're going to have to make some choices here, and yeah, you just going to have to, really take it seriously because, and I know for some of you, you may say, well, I don't have other people that I could reach out to. I understand. That's fine. Well, get to know some people. You know what I mean? Try to get to know some people and also plan as if you're not going to have this. All right. Because what's going to happen is when this gets taken away, a lot of people are going to go into a state of shock because they can't talk to their best friend anymore, or their auntie or their uncle or their cousins or whatever. You ain't going to be able to talk to them. Now what? All right. So make sure you're thinking about these things now. Think them through. Okay. And this is why we're also focused on the brain right now too, because when things pop off, I remember, and I know many of you remember 9/11. I remember 9/11. I was living in, Where we live? Oh, we were living in Atlanta. But I remember 9/11, and you remember how they kept playing over and over again, the people jumping out of the building. You remember that? I mean, they kept playing that over and over again. And they did a study, and they talked about the amount of psychological damage that did when CNN kept playing all of that tragedy. The plane, you just see the plane, they were rewinded and hit it again and rewinded and kept showing you over and over again. I mean, and then you see people in the street like, oh my God. It's, when I tell you things like that, it traumatizes you. And there's one person I know of who was right there in New York, and he was in his office, according to what someone was telling me. And you imagine being in your office and like in the movies, you just see bodies just falling out of the sky right in front of your window. It traumatizing. He had to go get get looked at, and he ended up years later. So I'm just telling you, start thinking this stuff out now, because for those of us that remember 9/11, it messed a lot of people up. And if you imagine some of this stuff that could pop off, what could happen, and a lot of people, their minds, they're not ready. So just prepare yourself. You got people out here talking, well, I'm ready, I got a gun. Well, if you're unstable, what point is it? Stay away from me. If that's what you got, if that's your plan, just stay away from me. Anyway, let's move on. Okay, so the last thing is talk about this MIT study. And I thought this was very interesting. And MIT just recently did a study. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, here it is right here. Definitely not going to go through all of this. I may provide a link to it, maybe later, put it in the comments section or something later on. But I want you to take a look at this study here. It's right here. There it is. Okay, so your brain on ChatGPT, acclimation of cognitive debt when using an AI assistant for essay writing tasks. I'll just summarize it for you. It's a lot, but I'll summarize it for you. They actually did a test. Now, you remember the other day I was telling you about, how people are using this guy that's using ChatGPT, and he asked ChatGPT, hey, tell me if you came down to earth. He crying on, I'll show you the video. Maybe I'll play the video for you. He did another video. At the end of the video, dude is literally crying. And he was talking about, as a black man in America, it's so bad. It's so horrible. And when I heard ChatGPT say that we were special, we important, it just did my heart so well. And then you got the people in the comment section, they like, yeah, it brought tears to my eye and all this stuff. This is ChatGPT. And so anyway, I try to explain to people, and we did a video on this, explain to people, hey, listen, ChatGPT at the end of the day, it's giving back what you're putting into it, right? That's true, but there's other parts to that. All right, there's other parts of that, and but this study doesn't talk about that. But I'll get into that in a little bit. But anyway, real quick, your brain on ChatGPT, acclimation of cognitive debt when using an AI assistant for essay writing tasks. And I'll just go right to the part that I highlighted. As you can see, it's quite a few pages in it, and interesting reading. Here we go, right here. Let me read this part here. The integration of LLMs, we talked about that. That's like ChatGPT or, Grok or, Claude or anything like that, right? Into learning environments present a complex duality. While they enhance accessibility and personalization of education, they may inadvertently contribute to cognitive atrophy through excessive reliance on AI-driven solutions. Atrophy, what that basically means is your brain basically gets into a degenerative state. It's basically shrinking. All right. Through excessive reliance on AI-driven solutions. Prior research points out that there is a strong negative correlation between AI tool usage and critical thinking skills, with younger users exhibiting higher dependence on AI tools and consequently lower cognitive performance scores. Then it goes on to say, furthermore, the impact extends beyond academic settings into broader cognitive development. Studies reveal that interaction with AI systems may lead to diminished prospects for independent problem solving and critical thinking. The cognitive offloading phenomenon raises concerns about the long-term implications of human intellectual development and autonomy. Okay, so you've heard me talk about this many times before, as far as ChatGPT and all of that. That it's a tool, and that's how you should treat it. It's a tool. It's not shouldn't replace you. For example, there are a growing number of public school teachers and even college professors are saying that a lot of their students now, to do their assignments, they just go to ChatGPT and say, "Hey, finish it for me," and it'll do it. But what you're doing is you're giving that part of your brain that is supposed to get that exercise. You're just giving it to someone else. It's kind of like you are supposed to bodybuild, right? You're supposed to bodybuild. You committed yourself to building up your body, but you pay somebody $20 an hour to go to the gym for you. How you think that's going to do? What do you think that's going to do for your body? Absolutely nothing. Well, that's what ChatGPT is doing for a lot of people's brains. Their brains, according to this study, and they actually put probes on brains, on people. What they did in this study was that they said, okay, we're going to take a certain group of people and everything you do is going to be ChatGPT. And we're going to give you assignments and all you're going to use is ChatGPT. That's it. And you're going to keep things minimal. Now, this other group, we're going to say, use your brains. That's it. We're going to... Yeah, use your brain. That's it. You're not going to use ChatGPT or anything like that. You're going to use your brain. What they found is that the cognitive strength, the group that had that was stronger in their their cognitive part of their mind, were the people who use their brains. And they found the opposite when it came to the people using ChatGPT. Now, let me explain to you what should happen. Okay. When you're using these tools, basically what you should do, like I said, number one, you see it as an assistant. Let me tell you how I use it. Now, when it comes to writing a blog, for example, blog post or, whatever, if it's on a topic that I'm not familiar with, I will spend probably a day interacting with ChatGPT, asking a series of questions and, asking it questions. Then I'll get off ChatGPT, maybe watch a few videos on it. Then I'll come back to ChatGPT. Then I'll go and maybe look up a few articles. Then I'll come back to ChatGPT, and that's it. Totally acknowledging the fact that I'm a beginner. You know what I'm saying? I'm at ground zero with this stuff. And so through these long exchanges, sometimes my exchanges can be a few lines. A lot of times they're very long and lengthy. Sometimes they're so long, I just, will just speak it and just say, man, I don't feel like typing all this. Let me just speak it and, go to voice to text and do that. And by the time I get through all of that, and, I'm always telling ChatGPT, listen, this is just a thought. This is an idea I have. I'm going to pitch it to you. Tell me what you think. But please be factual. Don't give me an answer you think I want to know. I literally always say this. And it will do that. And so by the time I get through all of that, and when I'm like ready to put together, let's say a blog post or something, then I'll say, okay, take our conversation and I want you to convert it into a blog post. And then even when it gives me a blog post, I don't just take in like, okay, copy, paste, I'm done. No, a lot of times I'll look at the blog post and I'm like, you missed this. I want you to make sure you emphasize in this part, or take that out. I don't like how that's written. Rewrite it this way. You know what I mean? Or I will say, I want you to write it, as if someone that's 15 years old is reading it. You know what I mean? I want you to spell things out phonetically or whatever. I'm taking an active role in what I'm doing, as opposed to just hitting a button and that's it. Right. And so by doing that, that is the correct way when you're using these platforms. not just hitting a button and that's it. And unfortunately, we have a lot of people today that are doing that. And what it's doing over a very short period of time, a lot of these people who are operating like this now, it's causing their brains to basically shrink. So so when we talk about war and all this other stuff, they can't really process this stuff. Same thing with people like the guy that I was telling you about, the whole thing with I'm asking ChatGPT and, he's giving it a theological question and then it spits out an answer and they think, oh, it's anointed. Oh, the spirit must have and isn't it something how the same people will tell you that, oh, they're hiding stuff from us. Oh, they try to keep it secret. They don't want us to know the truth. But then the moment ChatGPT says something you agree with, oh, see, they can't hide it. They can't hide it from us. You ever notice that? You ever notice that? On one hand, they're trying to hide stuff from us. But then as soon as they put it out there, well, see, sometimes it just comes on out. It's called confirmation bias. And so this is why I'm telling you, with this technology, we have to take this stuff extremely serious. Now, there's a trend that's going on right now. I wanted to show y'all this on TikTok, and it's on other platforms too. Now, Google, they have I'm sure some of y'all have seen these videos out here now. It all started with this whole thing. Can 100 men beat up a gorilla? Right? It started with that, and then that evolved and became a meme and all of that. Right? And then Google came out. They have something called Veo, and they have version 3 that just came out. And man, oh man, if you've seen the graphics on that, it's scary because you literally will not. Now you're really not. It's very hard to tell if you're looking at a real person versus something that's AI generated. It's getting more and more difficult to be able to tell. I mean, you can look at it for the most part and what to look for, and you can identify some things, but it's scary. And so I see the potential in it, like for advertising or whatever, certain things, but people who they think everything is a joke. Well, they're using it too. And I want to show you a couple examples of this here. Let me pull it up here. Let's see. I'll pull this up here. Here's an example of one.
One of those men.
Hold on, y'all. Okay, here it is. Just check this out, man.
I see one of those men.
Y'all remember what they did to our homeboy Harambe, right?
Yeah, they did that brother dirty.
Y'all think we letting that slide? On Harambe Soul, they all gonna be on a t-shirt. So I must have checked my DMs the other day, right?
Yeah.
Tell me why Mufasa in my DMs and he hella mad because I was chilling with his girl. No wonder she want to be with a gorilla like me. I hate when little kids come banging on my glass saying, look, mommy, he waving at me. Hell nah, lil man, that's me lining up my punch. Watch out. Listen, I might not come out on top in the 100v1.
Yeah, right.
But I promise you either way, some of y'all ain't leaving the same.
Okay, so that's one. Let me get this other one here. I mean, it's funny. It's funny, but let me show you this one here. Let's see, please.
Double the child support now. She out here gunning me down.
Rasta monkey!
Boom back clot. She done sniff me out.
May I come for you?
I can't survive the devil one woman. I feel my soul leave my dreadlocks.
I guess there's another one here. Hold on. Got another one. This one called Rasta Monkey. He got a whole thing here. Anyway, let me get to this other one here. I just had it up here. So they got the American ones that sound like they're Black American, and then you got the Caribbean ones, and then now you got the introducing now. You got the ones that sound like they're from Africa.
Even Bigfoot no fit survive here. Everything too cost.
1,000 naira for that yam.
So I heard some guys saying 100 men can take down Bigfoot. Listen, 100 men couldn't even handle Nigerian traffic, and they think they can handle me.
So I've been in Nigeria for a few days now, and let me tell you, it's amazing, especially because of this beautiful lady right here.
Chat, let me tell you people something. That fine girl I met yesterday, she has finished me with bills. Every day is, baby, I need money for hair.
Chat, I need a new girl in Nigeria. No more billings, I beg. I just want love. I no be Dangote, I no get that kind of money.
Honestly, chat, I need to find a job to keep up with Nigerian girls. Their expenses are something else. Wish me luck, guys.
I mean, I ain't gonna lie. I mean, it's some of it's funny, man, but you know, but what's not funny is not too long ago they used to describe black people as gorillas and apes and monkeys. And now we're using this technology to portray ourselves as that. Now, I will tell you that it ain't just black people doing this, because now you got, I mean, there's white, I've looked into this. I mean, you got white people that are doing this, but they're using black vernacular and all of that to put all in there. And now that you got these channels out here, you can create a whole social media platform, and you will never really know who's behind it. These people are making a lot of money. They're getting a lot of views, and they'll use stuff like this, and black people will be right there laughing, yucking it up and all that. And I'm sitting back like, wow, it wasn't that too long ago that black folks, we used to be portrayed as these things. Now it's funny, you know? So, you know, that's why I look at this stuff and I'm just like, man, this is really something. But I'm gonna tell you what's not funny is this. Let me pull up this thing. This is our final story here. I'll just say this. Now, the state of Mississippi recently passed a law where they either lowered or kind of got rid of some taxes or something like that. And it was done in a way basically to get to foster, to get more businesses to move into the state of Mississippi. That's what they're trying to do, because, you know, Mississippi been struggling. And so what they did was, so now you got companies like NVIDIA, who I guess apparently they are relocating down in, I guess they're having a facility down, a presence in Mississippi out of all places, which is really interesting. And, you know, and so this is them right here. They sent their black representative down there in Mississippi. And if you read it, they talk about how they're going to bring AI education and all of that to help educate the people, and you know, all of this stuff here. It all sounds good on paper, but I had to ask, I'm like, well, Mississippi is, when it comes to literacy, they're like near the bottom. They're near the bottom. So how are you, what kind of jobs are you trying to get them if you're basically dealing with a literacy rate that's just abysmal, you know? And so I want you to put your finger there on that. And I want to pull up this article, because what I'm going to say next, it ties into that. As soon as I can find the article. But basically I'll just tell you this. I'm glad I remember it. Both Amazon just said it, but also Microsoft. Both of them said that they are preparing to lay off thousands of people. They're laying off thousands of people. Let me find, I'm like all over the daggone place here. Yeah, they basically are saying that they're going to they're looking to lay off thousands of people. And these are people who are educated and had these jobs. But they said the reason why they're doing it is because of AI. They're getting rid of folks. Now, these are the people, again, these are the educated people. So for those that aren't educated, what do you think is going to happen? And if you listen to a lot of these people in the tech world, they're slowly are acknowledging, hey, listen, I know we've been saying that it's going to bring a lot of new jobs. It ain't. That's what they're saying. They're starting to come out and acknowledge that. And let me see what this is. I have a video here I'm gonna play here in a moment here. But anyway, yeah, that's what they're acknowledging now. It's going to create specialized jobs, but you're not going to need as many people. You remember, what was it, a couple of weeks ago, I told you about a builder. I forgot the name of the builder. They're like nationally known. They are now testing out down in Texas a robot, these huge robots that are designed to build houses from the ground up. And they said the work sites, all you need at the work site is, once they get this all together, they've already built one community and get ready to build another one. Okay. And they said the work site, the guy asked them, he said, how many people you need on the work site? He said, two. You know how you pass by a work site, you see all these people with hammers and all. Nope. Not with the equipment that they got now. This is now. This is right now. They got this. They're 3D printing homes now as we speak. I think it was Lennar. That's who it was, Lennar Homes. And they said, yeah, we were going through a lot of money at first with this, but now they said, I think we got it now. We're just going to build this other community. And then after that, we're going to start rolling it out. They're doing this now. So anyway, so when it comes to education, I truly believe that AI it's a wonderful tool to have. When you're using AI for our children to help them with their schoolwork and all that, the thing I like about using AI in education is that how you can customize things, you know what I mean, for the student. Because these students, all students, they got special, unique needs and things like that. So I think AI is a wonderful thing to incorporate. But the other side of it is it cannot replace things like reading, writing, memorization, doing things where you're using your mind. It can't do that. It will do that if you program it to, but it shouldn't. So you have to learn how to put those boundaries in place so that our children can be up to date when it comes to AI and technology and all of that stuff. But at the same time, know the value of what's in here. Remember, AI is artificial intelligence. You're the real intelligence. But unfortunately, a lot of people are handing over their real intelligence and saying, hey, I'd much rather it be artificial. It was at some point today, I even asked, because I do these things where I'm creating these, like that paper, for example, I created a GPT off of that and I'm like interacting with it and all that. And I said, this reminds me of like AI music. AI music, it sounds good. It sounds pretty cool and all of that. But will we reach a place where it will actually replace real music? I think for some people it will. Let me go back to that MIT report. MIT report, they said they actually took the results of what the students produced and they asked the teachers, real teachers, they said, okay, look over it. Can you tell which is what? And they said, yeah. They said, when I read over this stuff here, these papers here, it feels soulless, because when you're writing, right? When as a human being, you're writing, be it a paper or a note or whatever, there are certain nuances that you put in there that AI is not going to do that, right? So you lose that. I could tell that too when I'm reading certain things. You lose some of that personality. Well, it's the same thing with music too. That famous producer, Timberland, he got in a whole heap of trouble when he said he signed an AI artist and people lost their minds off of that. But he's not going to be the last one. It's going to be other people too. So what I would say again is that there has to be a balance. The tool is wonderful. Okay. And it's something I promote here on this platform. It's a wonderful tool to use. However, you got to be balanced with it. And unfortunately, people who skew on the illiterate side, they're not going to know how to be balanced with it. And instead, they're going to go full throttle and hand their brains over to this system and have the system just do everything for them. And that's not what should happen at all. You understand what I'm saying? And so this is how we're to use it. This is what we need. This is how we need to use it. Let me see if I had anything else here. Let's see. That's good news, Coach. I'm glad that's going for you, man. Yeah, he's been doing some good work there. I showed you the videos. I talked about Mississippi. We showed that video. Let me see. Community posts. Okay, yeah, the community posts. I'll just show you that real quick. But I think other than that, that's all we have here. The community post right here. Yeah, it's just, just keep that in mind when you're using these tools. This is the video. Yeah, this is the video I wanted to share with y'all. Hold on, let me play this. This guy, he's like a futurist. I want you to listen to what he's saying here.
I believe a lot in AI. I think AI is going to continue becoming smarter and smarter, more and more capable, more and more powerful. AI is going to continue being able to do more and more and more and more. We're going to have robots. We're going to have other forms for that AI to take over time. And humans, we're only evolving at a certain rate. Like humans are, humans will get smarter over time. It's just on the time scale of like millions of years because natural selection and evolution is really slow. So if you play this forward, right, like you're going to have AIs that are going to continue getting smarter, continue improving, like they're going to keep improving really quickly. And, biology is going to improve only so fast. And so what we need at some point is the ability to tap into AI ourselves. Like we're going to need to bring biological life alongside all of the silicon-based or artificial intelligence, and we're going to want to be able to tap into that for our own sake, for humanity's sake. And so eventually, I think we're going to need some interlink or hookup between our brains directly to AI and the internet and all these things. And it is potentially dangerous and it's potentially, to your point, terrifying and scary, but we just are going to have to do it. Like AI is going to go like this. Humans are going to improve at a much slower rate, and we're going to need to hook into that capability.
I'm telling you, this is where they're going with this. This is where they're going with this, where they're going to start. You're going to be the plug and play. You're going to be the plug and play. This is the memo here that Amazon, they put out here as well. It's not a video. I'll just play this. I'll just show it to you. It says, as we roll out more generative AI and agents, it should change the way our work is done. We will need fewer people doing some of the jobs that are being done today and more people doing other types of jobs. It's hard to know exactly where this nets out over time. No, it's not. But in the next few years, we expect that this will reduce our total corporate workforce as we get efficiency gains from using AI extensively across the company. So yeah, this is where they're going with this. All right. So are you prepared? And so these are things that you got to think about here. Let me see. I'm trying to see if I had anything else here. This is the same guy that I just played. Let me play this clip here too. And let me just play that one. Take a listen.
Basically, I want to wait to have kids until we figure out how Neuralink or other, it's called brain computer interfaces, so other ways for brains to interlink with a computer until they start working. So there's a few reasons for this. First is in your first 7 years of life, your brain is more neuroplastic than at any other point in your life, like by an order of magnitude. I think when we get Neuralink and we get these other technologies, kids who are born with them are going to learn how to use them in crazy ways. Like it'll be actually a part of their brain in a way that it'll never be true for an adult who gets a Neuralink or whatever hooked into their brain. And humans, we're only evolving at a certain rate. Humans will get smarter over time. It's just on the time scale of like millions of years because natural selection and evolution is really slow. So if you play this forward, right, like you're going to have AIs that are going to continue getting smarter, continue improving. Like they're going to keep improving really quickly. And, you know, biology is going to improve brains directly to AI.
Okay, he goes on because I think I played, that was like the extra part of it there. There was a clip where he was saying that he's actually waiting to have children. He's holding off having children until this technology gets implemented. But this guy, he's very much clicked in. And yeah, that's you know, this is where they're going right now. They see a future where, yeah, that you will be plugged in. You know, your children will be plugged in. And don't think that right now you may be like, oh, I'll never do that. But listen, this is why I am spending all this time investing all this time and getting people to start exercising your brains now and thinking this through. Now you got it. You understand that. But a lot of the children that are coming up in these schools, they are already handing their brains over to ChatGPT, OpenAI, and some of these other platforms as well. They are willingly doing this. So if you come up to them and say, hey, listen, all the functionalities of your brain can now be, you can connect via your brain to your phone. This generation, again, you may not do it, but this generation that's in school and coming out of schools now, they are already primed and prepped to do it. Okay? So this is what I'm trying to tell you. It's happening. And this is why you need to make sure your minds are sharp so that you ain't falling for it. Bill Gates, within 10 years, AI will replace many doctors and teachers. Humans won't be needed for most things. I say it's actually going to be less than that. So anyway, so that's where we are right now. And with my light dimming, that means it's time for us to go ahead and head out for this evening. Thank you so much for joining us for this broadcast. And yeah, I know I got like 1 or 2 I got to upload because I've been converting them to podcasts as well. So I'll get on that. And then hopefully tomorrow I'll have those up. Thank you again for tuning in. You guys take care. Enjoy the rest of your day, your evening, whenever you're watching this. Take care, and we'll be talking again soon. Take care now.